I think it's completely fair to have your service go down every now and then. I think the expectation that all things are up at all times, I don't think is very great. I think that that's a large reason why we have just such weird fanaticism over serverless and all these things that we're attempting to constantly push back this idea that we can never fail ever for any reason. I actually give grace to any service that goes down, once or twice. Not a big deal. It does happen. I can't fault them for that. But GitHub has gone down like once a week for the last 3 months straight. I get that something bad happens every now and then, okay? But damn, this is crazy that GitHub is consistently and constantly just shit in the bed at all times. Something as developers, I think we have the biggest tolerance for being charitable, but I'm afraid that GitHub is it's spending most of the charity at this point. I'm not sure how much. I'm actually curious at what point can you go down this many times before you actually stop? You actually stop your ability for people to want to use you, and you actually start getting alternatives. Is this where GitLab or Bitbucket? I tried my best to say Bitbucket, but I actually. Oh, that's funny. That won't ever work out. Now, here's a question. I actually have a question. I wonder if GitHub is really starting to use GitHub Copilot. Is that what's happening here? Are we finally seeing the effects of GitHub Copilot at GitHub? Are they finally drinking their own Kool-Aid and now they're just going down at tremendously fast rates? It's a possibility. I'm just saying. PhD level intelligence has been some of the worst people I've ever worked with, okay? I don't know if you guys know this, when they're just oh yeah, this thing is PhD level intelligence. My first thought isn't, oh wow, I want to work with that. My first thought is great, here we go. We are about to assemble the house of cards that has never been assembled before in life. Anyways, I'm just shocked that GitHub has gone down this many times in the last few weeks. This is actually really bad. And it also is really bad because it reflects on Microsoft more broadly, because Microsoft's also supposed to be a place that you can run servers on with Azure. Microsoft is also trying to get in between every last little interaction between the developer and their services. They want to be able to rent CQ so hard. They want to be able to rent CQ with their IDE with VS Code. They want to be able to rent CQ with GitHub, CI stuff. They want to be able to rent CQ in all these different places. This is why they're pushing for all this remote development and all that. And so when they do all of this, but they constantly go down, I'm just convinced this has to destroy their credibility. This little bit of going down has to push back their timeline months, if not a year, right? Why would you ever trust somebody to do all of your development through if they can't stop going down week after week? Just saying, I think it's back. It doesn't matter if it's back. It's just that it's constantly down, right? At what point is going down too frequently a problem, right? You said, outages are not a problem. Outages are totally fine. No one's arguing against outages, right? I just got done starting this by saying I think we need to relax our expectations, generally speaking. I think the problem is that when you do it repetitively, that's actually where people start moving away. I think GitHub being the default is potentially a bad thing. And what I mean by that is that when everybody just uses the incumbent and everyone just does it all the time, then eventually the incumbent stops getting better. They stop trying. They don't have a reason to fight. When you don't have a reason to fight, when you don't have a reason to win, you often just start playing defense as opposed to offense. And what I mean by that is that you don't play to win, you play not to lose. And when you play not to lose, that's a really bad place to be in, because you start making these weird decisions about your life. And I think a lot of people actually fall into this category and not realize it, which is that you stop actually doing the thing that made you successful to begin with, and you start trying to protect the thing that made you successful, which is very, very, very different mentalities and cause very different outcomes. And so I'm very skeptical. Intel. Intel is probably the greatest example to this day of playing not to lose versus playing to win. Now, granted, they had some government interference. They had a bunch of anti-monopoly stuff. They had a lot of stuff that kind of went against their favor, but don't ever do that, right? Don't ever get yourself into a position where you're playing not to lose. Remember, if you ever get any form of success, that's because you were doing something that might have been risky, Might have been, something that you're not used to, but that's what made you successful. So keep doing that thing. You got to be like Arnold. Be hungry. Hungry. When people tell me I can't, I get hungry. Just be hungry.